Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. If you follow the channel, you've no doubt seen by now my review of the Tru Spray airless electronic airless spray system. I love this thing. I've used it for a good month now, but as so many of you guys pointed out in my most recent video on this, or in my review video on this, this is just too costly for you. You wish that it was half the cost. You wish that it was 200 bucks. You wish that it was around $100. So let me introduce you to my own home-built version 1 of the detail keg, or the airless detail and wash keg. Again, just version 1, but I want to show you just how I did this and save myself almost half over what this cost me. Let's get into it. All right, so before we start on the build, let me kind of show you what we're working with, all the parts that we're going to be using, and then I want to go over a keg selection, because that's pretty important, especially if you don't have a pressurized keg already and you are starting from scratch. So the first thing that I'm going to be using in my version 1 is a C-Flow 22 series pump. Now this has a 3/8 inlet and outlet. However, the FlexZilla 1/4-inch hose that I'm using will fit, will stretch around this. So we're gonna give this a try now. Just word of warning, this does say that, you know, to use 3/8 inlet and outlet hose. We're gonna try it with a 1/4-inch. We're gonna see what happens. If you're seeing this video, it probably worked though. So C-Flow pump. And then the other thing, the main thing that we're using is a Talent Cell. This is a combination battery and switch power supply all in one. So we're using that along with a cable that I picked up. This plugs into this and it has an end on it so that I can wire it right to the pump itself. So there's that. And then what we're going to be using is a T-Jet trigger sprayer. So I have that. And then for the end, this little thing fits in here. You have to buy these parts separately, okay? So it comes with this little nut on the end there, and then you buy this little filter separately, like that. And then you buy whatever end you want and put it on. So that's basically your sprayer. And this is gonna be one of your cheaper options. I'll show you another one when we get to the build process. You can also get a longer wand for the T-Jet. So just so you're aware, this is completely up to you, but this is what I chose to do. And then what do we also have? We have the FlexZilla. This is their a flexible hybrid polymer air hose. So this is a 50-foot length, 1/4-inch. And this is the style. It's just lay flat, okay? If you choose to buy a coiled hose with the FlexZilla, be careful. I'll show you when we get to the build. Be careful of these ends. I will show you what to look out for and what to do when you come across that. And then the other thing from FlexZilla, they have a new fitting, or not a new one, but one that doesn't come on the actual hose itself. This one has a swivel built in. So we'll be using this on the trigger end. Because it does have a swivel, and then this also has like strain relief on the, so you can't kink the hose. So we'll be using that together now. Oh, and then the last thing, holding everything together, I just bought this pouch from Amazon. It cost me like 18 or 19 bucks, something like that. You can choose to use whatever you want, as long as it will hold the pieces parts. I mean, you can mount everything on a wooden board if you want and just like strap it to your keg. It doesn't matter. This is what I chose to use, and I'm hoping, I'm hoping it works out well, not only starting out, but kind of, you know, future-proof. So anyway, now, oh, and the last thing is you're gonna need is the black, one of the ball valve or a ball lock keg, the black fittings. They come normally in a 2-pack, gray and black. You'll never use the gray. Gray means gas. You're never going to use the gray side. You're only going to use the black side, which is the liquid. And now this is where I'm going to I wanted to get to this segment here, because if you are looking for keg, if you don't already have one, if you need to buy one. If you're looking on Amazon at new ones, number one, find one, and this one has red. All the ones on Amazon are gonna have black, but make sure you get the rubberized handles like this and the rubberized base. All right. Ball lock kegs were perfected over decades by Pepsi company and by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola used a pin lock keg, and I'll explain that in a minute. But the Pepsi company over decades literally used these things with these handles. They take a lot of abuse. They could be dropped, they could be knocked around, they could be kicked. They literally, every gas station you went into, if it had soda, McDonald's, all those places, so Taco Bell, everywhere that had soda, before they came up with a separate machine that like injected carbonation into the system in line, it was carbonated in here, and you got 5 gallons of soda, and basically they dispensed everything 1 keg at a time. So these were perfected. Make sure you buy this style. They have proven over years and years and years to take a beating. The other thing is, because they've been proven so much to take a beating, tons of people use these for home brewing, and that's the majority of what you find online is going to be this style. You do not want to get those ones that don't have the rubberized, that they're just steel with like a steel handle on them. If you knock those over, etc., you can do some damage to the pins, etc., things like that. And they're probably, the base is not going to be as stable as this. Also, don't buy what they call a pin lock keg. A pin lock keg was used by Coca-Cola, whereas the ball lock was used by Pepsi. Pin lock kegs, instead of just having, in fact, let me show you, this has like to connect, you would lift up on this piece here, and you just push down and it locks into place. Pin lock, you have to push it on and then twist it into position. The ball lock kegs are far more common, and because they lock down like that, they can swivel on the top without issue. And when you go to homebrew supply stores, if you ever need parts for the keg, go to a homebrew supply store in your area. They will have all the parts for ball lock kegs, not necessarily so for pin lock kegs. Now, if you do have a pin lock keg, they can be converted to ball lock posts, but there's an added cost, and it could cost you like 20 or 30 bucks. So for me, if you're buying, if you're gonna pay 30 bucks for a used keg, and then you've got to spend another 20 or 30 for the pin lock conversion, then it doesn't make sense to do that, because you could buy, literally online, you could get refurbished ones of the ball lock for like 60, 70 bucks. Or from Amazon, you could buy a new keg for like 110 bucks shipped to your door. So there's that. The other thing is, in fact, let me kind of go over this with you as well. On the kegs, this one happens to be from a company called Cornelius, the Cornelius Company. 2 different brands made kegs, Firestone and Cornelius. And the Firestone Challenger, I believe it's 5 and 6 kegs. And the Cornelius kegs basically were all the same. They use this oval style opening. That's what you're looking for. The very earliest and oldest kegs had a shape that was less oval like that and more kind of shaped like, in fact, let me show you. They were shaped more like this box, to where you just had rounded edges, but it was more like long sides. They called it a racetrack keg because of the shape of the lid. Now, speaking of lids, you want to make sure, if possible, to get the style of lid that has this opening. In fact, let me show you how round it is. The racetrack kegs, you'll see a huge difference if you look it up online. But you want to use one with this style pressure release valve. This is real easy to use, okay, when you open and close it. But more importantly, this is the newest style. In fact, if you order something on Amazon, if you need a replacement lid on Amazon, it will be this style, and it'll only run you like 20 bucks, and it'll even come with the new gasket. The one you don't want to get, if you have a choice, don't buy this style. So this is called a Spartan style, and basically this has a flip top like this pressure release valve. Now the problem is, these are, number one, they're the oldest, but they also are expensive. So as an example, there's one place that I found there's a little plastic nut holding it in, and there's some washers in there, or O-rings. But if this valve goes bad, to replace this, you're looking at about 30 bucks. Whereas a whole new lid on Amazon is 20 bucks in the new style, or if you just have to replace this one single piece. All right, this one single piece is like 5 or 10 bucks. So as you can see, the new style, in fact, the new style is still in use today, even on the new kegs. So two different style lids. I always choose this one here over this one if I can. Just for those reasons, it's just easier to find parts. Now, also, if you're looking at used kegs, try and make sure that you can test that it holds pressure before. The person selling it should be able to hook up some type of gas line or pressure onto the inlet side to pressurize the tank so that you can tell, or that you know that it holds pressure. So just be cognizant of that. So now, before we get to the bench, the biggest thing that I want to show you how we're going to measure the first part of this, because we're going to need an inlet hose and then your outlet hose. Now, your outlet hose, you can choose whatever size or length you want on your outlet hose. Generally speaking, I want to build one at 30 feet because I have chosen that to be the distance that I could comfortably leave this in one place and then walk around the whole car and spray everything, the roof, the front end, everything. The other one is I want just a 6-foot hose, because a 6-foot hose, if I carry this with me, I can spray the top of the car and I don't have any issues with it dragging on the ground. I don't have any issues tripping on it. And then if I'm using this on wheels, tires, things like that, just to spray some soap off or whatever it is, wheel cleaner off, I don't have a 30-foot hose sitting next to me. I just have the 6-foot and it's real easy to clean up. So that's the two different sizes. Now on the inlet side, what you're gonna need to do is whatever pouch you're going to make this in, you're going to have your gas valve, or your outlet side, I should say. And in this case, I'm probably going to Velcro this or attach it somehow like this to the keg. All right, so what I need to do is physically just take my hose. I'm going to put this on here, and don't worry, because if you don't have a clamp, this will come right off. Just pull on it and it pops off, okay? Now when you start really attaching stuff, you're gonna wanna make sure you put on heat shrink, then the clamp, and then you put it on there and clamp it and everything else. But in this case, what we're gonna do is we just take this, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have, I've already tested this, but I've put the pump in the bag and I know how far it sits in there. And in my case, the pump sits roughly to where the inlet side of the pump meets the bag right about here. So what I wanna do is I wanna take this and I wanna figure out how long of a hose do I need to get it into the bag at about that height, okay? And what I wanna do is I wanna make sure that I'm not kinking this. I don't wanna make it this long, okay? That's not gonna work, because like you don't want stuff sticking out that much. You wanna keep it as compact as possible, okay? But you also don't wanna kink the hose like this. So I'm just gonna take this, and generally speaking, I try and have this so that it's angled. In fact, let me show you that. If I can, I want to angle this so that it's like this and not like this, because if it's like this and it falls over, there's a potential for this breaking. Now, there is no need to buy the metal one. Just FYI, no need to buy the metal connector like that. Because, and that's what the handles do, the handles protect this. And honestly, I bought 4 sets of these, gray and black, 4 sets for 16 bucks. A metal connector, single metal connector, is like 28 bucks, I think. So there's no need at all to buy the metal. As long as you have it like this, you have your hose on there. This can fall on the ground all day. You're never going to break it, okay? So I try and have it angled like that if possible. And then all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna figure out how I can route this into the bag at about the height I need. and maybe add another inch or two. And then I'm going to make a mark. Okay. So I have that. I will make a mark. And in my case, so I've made a mark. And in my case, this is going to be about, let's see here, and like it's 9 inches, and another 7 is probably, what is that? 9 and 7 is 16 inches. And don't ask me how I've ever come to this, but there you go. You can see the mark right there. And then if I do that, that's roughly 16 inches. So anyway, now I have the length of hose that I need for doing the connection, the inlet side. And then I also know the length of hose that I'm going to need on the output side. I have all the parts. So now, having said all that, let's get to the actual fabrication and get this thing built. All right, so I kind of have a mess here, but let me explain what's going on. So I mentioned the talent cell. So that's this thing right here. And as you can see on the 12 volt, 6 amp max, so that works. And what it is we just take that spare cable that I bought, and that has this 5 millimeter end. And so when I need to use it, I just plug this in like that, and then I run the power to my motor. And then to turn it on, all right, you just flip the switch and you can see it's got a battery meter and it comes with a charger. So I figured this would be easier than using, although what you could use is, like I have Milwaukee batteries. They sell on Amazon. You can get an adapter. You plug the battery into the adapter and it's got a couple wires coming out. You can wire in a switch, and then from the switch, you can wire it in the pump motor. It's all your choice. This is kind of just to see how this will work and if it could be done relatively inexpensive. So in fact, this way, probably with this way, if you already have these, is going to be cheaper than going this way, because I believe this was like 60 bucks. So anyway, and then we have the C-flow pump motor. This should be the inlet, and then the output pressure side. Now, on the back of this, I already put some electrical tape just to keep the wires managed correctly. And the one thing I'm not going to do on camera, because I couldn't find the tape, there's a product called Tessa tape, and it's used basically under the hood of automobiles. And it's a fabric tape, and you wrap it, and it is like heat resistant and water resistant, oil resistant, things like that. And it works really nice and provides a really clean look. I'm going to do that afterwards. So let me put that aside. And then I showed you earlier, I measured, this is going to be the inlet side. And then I have a pre-cut hose 6 feet long for the outlet side there. So I'll put that aside. In fact, let me start putting stuff aside as I show you. Then again, I have my T-Jet sprayer. And what I'm going to do is attach the long spray wand to it, and I'll have just a long, like that, spray wand. Now, the other thing, let me show you this. On the outlet valves, you can get one like this, to where they come like that, and then you would attach the hose to this fitting and then screw this fitting on here, or you just attach the hose to that like I showed you outside a minute ago. And to me, that's way better looking than that, and to be honest, this sticks up way higher. So just, this is a cleaner look for me. Okay, now the next thing going is, I mentioned the connectors. So I bought this Flexzilla piece, and I'll open this now and show you. So this has a swivel end. So if you get the 1/4 inch tubing like this, it's going to come with a basic connector end to where there's no swivel. This actually just comes apart. And this is how the hose would go on here, and then you would screw this together to compress that and to make the connection. This normally doesn't come with any type of tape or anything on it if you buy this hose here. However, I mentioned if you bought the coiled hose. If you buy the coiled hose, it's got a little bit smaller. You could see the different form factor there. Okay, but it has a little bit smaller, or it's got the smaller diameter, but it comes with this like pre-installed putty on it. That putty is hard as a rock. You need to definitely remove that. Okay, remove that putty before you try and thread it into here, because I guarantee this, with this plastic, you will screw up these threads. You will mess it up. So remove that putty off of there before you do that. Now, because what I did is I bought this piece here, and that doesn't come with anything on it, but it has a swivel. In fact, let me show you right here. Let's see if I can. All right, so you could see right there, there's a swivel. Okay, that makes it really nice because this threads right into here, and then even under pressure, it actually can swivel a little bit. So you don't have to sit there and flop the hose around to get it unwound. You could just use the swivel. And this is like $5 or $6. So I decided to always get one of these on the trigger sprayer end. And then it also has, you know, the for the wiring, or for the basically the hose management there. All right, so the first thing we're going to start with is our motor. And the right side is going to be the inlet side. It's going to suck the water or wash solution in through this side, and it's going to pump it out that side. And what I did was I'm soaking my tubing in a cup of hot water off screen. And so all I'm going to do now, because I wanted to make it a little bit pliable, and this is a 1/4 inch line, but this is a 3/8 connection. But once you see, and it's going to take a little bit of work, a little bit of force to get it on there, but once you get it hot, there you go, it will stretch and go on there. Now, you can make it easier with some soap as a lubricant. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. Let me pull this back off and use a little bit of soap. Like that. All right, so now we're going to orient this in the correct direction. And hopefully stretch that on. There we go. And I'm going to work a little bit more on this just to get it that little bit further. But I need to get a little bit closer to myself to do it. So let me pause this. I'll be right back. All right, so I was able to get that on there. It took a little bit, but you can see. And then all I'm going to do is, on this end, hopefully this clamp will go over. Well, it looks like I'm going to have to get the next bigger size clamp out, because that will not fit. All right, so the clamp I'm using, these are called like Oetiker clamps. You just put it on the hose and you just take this and you pinch it, and that squeezes it together. And so I got the next size up. I bought it in a kit. You could use a little clamp. In fact, at the parts store, if you go to the auto parts store, they sell them like this. That works great, and it's adjustable, but they have different sizes. But on that now, I'm just going to take that and put it on there really nice and neat. And then I'm just going to take and put that there, and then cinch up the clamp. And just like that now, this end is clamped on, not going anywhere. And now all I need to do is attach the opposite end, so I'm going to do that off camera. We'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I was able to, I got that clamp nice and tight up there. I got the output side put on there, tighten up the clamp on that, looks really good. And then what I can do is I will just go back and actually put some heat shrink on there and heat shrink that. In fact, it'll work just like this. Let me do that. So the heat shrink will go basically just like that. And I'll put one on this side and we'll be done with that. So the pump is done now, or the connections to the pump is done. In fact, if I do this, I can put this on there for a minute from now. And we'll put, there we go. And we'll put the clamp, I'll tighten up the clamp in a minute, but now you have from the keg, it'll go up in here, get sucked through the pump, and then put out our pressure side. Now, this is going to sit in the main compartment of the bag, just like in here. But before we do that, what I want to do is take my main wire, my power wire, and I'm going to twist these together for now because it has a couple holes in the bottom of the bag, which turns out to be really nice because now I can use that to run the wire from one compartment like so. There we go. From one compartment to the next compartment. Just like that. And now my battery pack, I can put in this compartment right there. The switch is accessible. There's the connection to put it. In fact, I want to make sure I don't turn it on by accident. But basically that'll just sit there like that. And then my wire's out here, but the pump will just sit in here. Let's see. Oh, because the wire is blocking it. There we go. So the pump will actually sit in there just like that. And in fact, if I could figure out how to do the zipper, I'll probably just do something with the zipper. Maybe some Velcro, something like that, or maybe I'll do the holes like I said. But anyway, now this is all self-contained because if I take these wires from the pump and I put them with the other wire that I just fed through. In fact, let's do it. We can do a test. And this is super easy. We'll go black to black. And red to red. We'll just twist these together for now. And apply a little bit of electrical tape to keep everything separately. So again, this is just temporary. I'm going to wire this up with some splice, some butt connectors, and then also heat shrink it when I know this works properly. But for now, I'm just doing this so that I can keep then I could just keep the wires separate. In fact, we'll do that, and then just like this, we'll just tie them together. Now theoretically, if that's plugged in, we should hear noise if I actually turn this on. There we go, we have noise. So now all we have to do is wire up or hook up the nozzle end, and we can get to testing. In fact, let me unplug that just in case. And we will take our nozzle end that comes off like that. This unscrews. And then what you do is this will go on there, like so. That goes on like that. And then this, just as simple as this, just pushes on. Like so. And then you just take this and get a couple wrenches. Actually, you'll need a couple wrenches, but you just take a couple wrenches and actually like that one. And just tighten it up. And you're going to need 2 wrenches because you're going to want to get this almost connected. You're going to make sure it's really tight because you're going to have almost 100 psi of water in here. You'll just take your tape and give it a couple wraps because you're going into plastic. You want to make sure that the opening is still like that. And then we will just take our sprayer. And you don't want to force it. It should go very easy. All right. Just like that. And then we're going to take our 2 wrenches again, tighten this up. And then on this end here, I'm going to take that off. I'm going to put on my longer wand end that you could see. Tighten that up. Like so. And now our kit should be complete. Now, the one thing, I use the T-Jet sprayer. This alone is almost $30. If you buy the whole kit with this wand and everything with this end, it's almost $50. The alternative is this Solo wand that you could see there. They call it the Solo 28-inch universal spray wand and shutoff valve. And what it is, it comes with that wand. It comes with everything. It comes with the spray tip. And then on the back side, it doesn't have that swivel like this. All right. But you could put either a 3/8 hose or, so if you wanted to run a 3/8 line out of this 3/8 the pump, you could run it to this because it has a 1/4 inch and a 3/8 barb. So you would just cut off what you need, and then there's actually like a garden hose connection on here. So if you could get adapters if you want, whatever. But this was less than $20. I think I paid $19 for this. So this is a great alternative, an economical alternative to the T-Jet sprayer. So having said that, that is our build. Let me get this over to the keg and get it tested out. Actually, well, I'm going to tighten everything up with the wrenches. Then we will get it over to the keg and test it out. But it's as simple as that, guys. That's how you do it. So we'll be right back. All right, guys. So I've actually tested this now, and what I found was that unlike every other video that I saw online showing these pumps, this one is actually the opposite. The inlet side, as you're looking at the unit, the inlet side is on the left and the outlet is on the right. So what I wound up doing is I just popped the clamps off, switched out the hoses, and then put some new clamps on there and worked that way. Now, some of you might say, well, why didn't you just switch the wires? Well, I tried to do that, but I found out that this thing has some type of circuitry that actually only allows it to run in one direction, and it senses like a reverse polarity. So you really can't wire it incorrectly. It will fix that for you, but you just need to make sure that you go in the right direction with the inlet and outlet. So having said that, I tested it. It sprays. It shuts off when it's supposed to. It runs when it's supposed to. It seems to have plenty of pressure. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this off, put a proper clamp on there, and then seal everything up with my heat shrink tubing. And then eventually, I don't have it today, I'm going to get that tape like I mentioned. I'm going to get some proper splicing for the wires. But anyway, that is how I put this together, and it works perfect. In fact, let's do a quick demo. And outside, I'll show you how it works with the rinseless wash. And well, that's it. And I'll share the final price, I guess, the price tag with you of what it cost me to put this whole thing together. All right, everybody. So version 1 is in the books, and I've tested this. It actually works really nice. So what I wound up doing is I have the battery pack still in the front there, fed the wire down through, but on the inside, or what I did on the side of the bag, I was able to cut a little hole, feed the hose through on this side, and then also on the hole, feed the hose through on that side, and it sits in there really nice. I can open up I could zip this back up if I want, so that's not an issue, or unzip and zip it, so that's not a problem. And then on the inside, what I did is, I still don't have that Tessa tape yet that I mentioned, but I was able to use some nice heat shrink connectors for the wires. So, and then I just have the wire tucked in to a pocket here, and it makes it super simple. Now, the one thing I didn't do, and I probably will do this maybe with a version 2, is they say that if you mount this vertically, mount it pump side down, so that if there is a leak in the pump, it doesn't go into the motor. What I did though is I put it pump side up. So if I was going to do, well, actually I am going to do a version 2, the pump will be down, and so the hoses will be coming out more of the bottom of the bag instead of the top. And then on the bag itself, there is actually a little spot where there would be an attachment for a shoulder strap and a snap. And so what I did is I just bought some more of the Velcro strips, and I attached the bag with that strap in the back instead of this thing here. And I mean, hopefully you can hear this in a minute. It's actually fairly quiet, especially in the bag, and it sprays really nice. It's fairly quiet. Now, it is louder than that Tru Spray system that you saw in that video that I've already done. And if you haven't seen that Tru Spray video, I will have it linked below, or actually it'll be at the end of this video, because that thing is a fantastic product, although quite costly. Now, I mentioned that I was going to tell you what this cost me. So when I added up all the parts, this little battery holder was 60 bucks. The pump was over 45. So between the two, that was a little over $100 on their own. This piece here cost $50 or $48, something like that. So just between these parts, there's a ton of money to be saved. This piece, I found a wand actually this morning at Tractor Supply for $12.99. So going from $50 to $12.99, now it's not quite as nice as this, but it'll work for $12.99. The other thing is the pump motor. I've actually ordered this now. There's a new or a different pump motor that I wanted to give a try. It's not quite as high pressure, but it's 23 bucks instead of 43 or $44. So I'd be saving $20 right there on the pump motor. And then instead of using this battery switch combination, what I did is I ordered just an adapter for my Milwaukee batteries, and that cost me $9. So instead of, this was 60, and then I ordered a switch, a waterproof switch for I think it was $5. So all in on my next version is going to be roughly around $100 versus just over $200 as you see this setup. So I've learned a little bit on this, and I can't wait to give version 2 a try and see just how well it works. So in any event, I mean, it sprays, you can see, sprays really nice. It primes real easy. Now with this pump, if this was completely empty, what you have to do when it starts running is you just pull the trigger, and you can hear the air purging out, and then all of a sudden you get the water flowing through, and it instantly like primes, pumps. So anyway, guys, that is version 1 of my electronic airless wash keg. No more pumping. In fact, let me show you something. In this, you don't even need the lid. And this is part of the best part about this. If you don't have a lid, it still will spray. So that's fantastic. The only thing that you need to remember to do all the time is release the pressure. Make sure you pull up on that pressure release valve and stick it in the up position. And as long as you do that, this will work fine and output a lot of pressure. No problem. It's as simple as that, guys. So anyway, I really appreciate you watching, and I hope that you can build your own, because quite honestly, once you go with the airless sprayer like this with a pump, you will just never use compressed air in your tank again. So having said that, look forward to version 2. I'm probably going to do that maybe in another month. I'll release that video because I'm going to be working on it over the next couple weeks, trying to really kind of perfect things. But for version 1, I really think that I knocked this out of the park. For simplicity, just a pump, the battery, with a switch, I mean, it's just super easy. The sprayer, everything is just it was super simple to do. You saw me do it. I pretty much did it in real time on camera for you. So anyway, try it for yourself. Everything will be linked below. And well, I'm gonna finish washing really quick. It's supposed to rain, I think, in another half hour here. So I'm gonna wash a mostly clean car just in time for it to get rained on, because I want to play with this and test it out. So you have a great day, and I hope you build your own. I appreciate you watching. Bye.